There are plenty of great games on the market, but you've probably heard about most of them countless times already. So what about the lesser-known games that are just as amazing, yet rarely get the attention they deserve? In this video, we're taking a look at some truly perfect games that every gamer should experience at least once. If you're ready,
let's get to work.
The Outer Worlds 2. Obsidian spent years keeping the spirit of classic Fallout alive. Now they've built their own universe and pushed that spirit further than ever. The Outer Worlds 2 throws you into the most absurd corner of the galaxy and immediately asks, what are you even doing here? And the beautiful part is, the answer is entirely yours to decide. You're building a character from the ground up, picking your background, your skills, your playstyle. Want to talk your way through every situation? Go ahead. Want to be a silent mercenary who shoots first and asks never? That works too. Want to side with a mega corporation you know is evil just to see what happens? The game lets you. Every dialogue choice, every alliance you forge or break, every mission you approach differently, it all ripples outward. The writing is sharp enough that you'll laugh at a corporation's propaganda poster while simultaneously feeling genuinely unsettled by it. Hours disappear without warning. If you want an RPG that doesn't just ask you to play but to think, to question, to make real choices, The Outer Worlds 2 is exactly that.
Let's get to work.
Who said a LEGO game couldn't be genuinely great? Legacy of the Dark Knight tears apart the kids' game label from the very first hour. You're in an open-world Gotham City, not a corridor, not a level select screen, but an actual breathing city you can explore freely. You glide between rooftops, chase down villains in the Batmobile, interrogate criminals in dark alleys, and unlock gadgets that change how you interact with the entire world. The combat pulls directly from the Arkham series, fluid, rhythmic, deeply satisfying, wrapped in a LEGO aesthetic that somehow makes it feel more fun, not less. You're tracing the origin of Bruce Wayne, watching him transform from a grieving kid into a legend. Iconic villains show up with real weight to them. Every Batman era, gadgets, costumes, vehicles, is represented and playable. Yes, it's colorful. Yes, it's LEGO. But underneath that is a Batman experience that respects the character. And that combination works better than it has any right to. Something happened in gaming this year that nobody quite saw coming. A small French studio sat down and made one of the most striking JRPGs in years. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 hooks you in its very first hour with a premise unlike anything else. Every year, a being known as the Paintress appears and writes a number. Everyone who has reached that age simply ceases to exist, and you, part of a dwindling expedition, are marching toward her to end it. The turn-based combat has a real-time layer to it. You dodge incoming attacks manually, you time your parries, you interrupt enemy moves. It makes every single battle feel alive instead of mechanical. Between fights, you're exploring beautifully painted worlds, uncovering the backstory of each character, and piecing together a mystery that keeps twisting. But what makes this game unforgettable isn't the mechanics, it's the weight. The closer you get, the more the music and the story press down on you. Some games test you. Returnal dismantles you, then puts you back together differently. You play as Celine, an astronaut who crash lands on a hostile alien planet and can't leave. Every time she dies, she wakes up at the crash site. Same planet, same enemies, but the layout has shifted. The items are different, and fragments of audio logs, of memories, of something deeply personal start surfacing, and you begin to realize the loop isn't just a game mechanic. It means something. The gameplay is a third-person bullet hell shooter with roguelike structure. You're running through procedurally arranged biomes, dodging swarms of alien projectiles, picking up weapons and abilities that stack and synergize until you die and lose most of it. But your understanding of the patterns, the enemy behaviors, the optimal routes, that stays. You get sharper, you get faster, and when you finally down a boss that's been stopping you for hours, something in you actually releases. Sci-fi, psychological horror, and roguelike design have never worked together this well. Pacific Drive. You're going to name your car, and you're going to mean it. Pacific Drive drops you in an abandoned exclusion zone somewhere in 1980s Pacific Northwest America. You have an old station wagon. Around you, unexplainable anomalies, dead roads, electromagnetic storms that appear with no warning. Your goal is simple: get out alive. But getting out means keeping your car running first. And your car is always falling apart. The door handle breaks off, a headlight cracks, the brakes start dragging. You're scavenging for parts in ruined buildings, welding panels back on in a parking lot, rerouting the electrical system with whatever you can find, all while something in the tree line makes a sound you can't place. Each run through the zone is different. The anomalies shift, new threats appear. You gather data, upgrade your garage, and slowly learn how to survive longer, push deeper. The bond you build with that car is ridiculous. By the end, risking your neck to save a rusted-out station wagon feels completely natural. That's the kind of game Pacific Drive is. Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. You want to play by the rules? Wrong game. Metal Gear Rising is Platinum Games at their most unhinged and their most brilliant. You play as Raiden, a cyborg ninja who can cut through nearly anything at any angle in real time. That's not an exaggeration. You enter a slow-motion blade mode, aim your cut and slice an enemy in half, a pillar holding up a building, an incoming missile, a giant robot's spine. The game finds this completely normal. The combat is faster and more stylish than almost anything else in the genre. You parry incoming attacks by pushing into them at exactly the right moment, a system that feels punishing at first and absolutely electric once it clicks. Boss fights are where the game peaks. Each one is a performance. The music shifts mid-battle, rising as the fight escalates, and when you finally land the killing blow while the score is at full volume, it genuinely feels like a moment. 12 years after release, people still quote this game. That's not nostalgia, that's a legacy. Titanfall 2. What's the best FPS campaign you've ever played? Whatever your answer is, you haven't finished the conversation until you've played Titanfall 2. This game got buried in 2016 by a disastrous launch window, sandwiched between two massive releases. It deserved so much better. The campaign is only 6 or 7 hours long, but every single level introduces something new, a different mechanic, a different movement challenge, a different way of thinking about the space around you. You're wall running at full speed through crumbling environments, leaping into your Titan midair, swapping between parkour and mech combat in seconds. The movement alone feels better than most games manage across their entire runtimes. And then there's that one level. You know the one if you've played it. Level designers reference it, critics reference it, players bring it up unprompted years later. I won't say what it does, but when you get there, you'll stop and just sit with it for a second. If you see this on sale, don't think, just buy it. What Remains of Edith Finch? Can a 2-hour game make you cry, make you think, and quietly change how you see your own life? This one does. What Remains of Edith Finch puts you in a massive, strange house belonging to a family where almost everyone has died young. You're Edith, returning to the family home after years away, and you're exploring it room by room, each one sealed off, each one belonging to someone who is gone. When you enter a room, you experience that person's final moments, and here's what's brilliant about it. Every story is told in a completely different way. One plays like a children's picture book, come to life. One is a comic book you navigate panel by panel. One puts you in a daydream, so specific and so strange that you won't forget it for years. None of them last more than a few minutes, but each one lands differently. There's at least one moment in this game that will tighten something in your chest, and you'll walk away afterward thinking about it longer than you expected. Hades was already perfect. Then Supergiant said, "Hold on, let's go further." In Hades 2, you play as Melino, a witch fighting her way up from the depths of the underworld. You die. You return to the crossroads. You try again. That's the loop, but loop makes it sound repetitive, and it's anything but. Each run, you're choosing from a different selection of boons offered by Olympian gods, combining them with different weapons and aspects, building a character that didn't exist last run and won't exist next run. The combinations are staggering. You'll find a build that clicks and feel like you've discovered something, only to try something completely different next time and feel it again. The combat is faster and more varied than the first game. You have melee weapons, ranged options, a magical staff, and abilities tied to the moon. And every time you return from a failed run, someone at the crossroads has something new to say. A relationship deepens, a secret surfaces, the world expands. One more run. Always one more run.
Keep your eyes open. The voice in the soil. You're not welcome here.
Atomfall. Imagine Cesti Alcair, but set in the English countryside. That's Atomfall, and it's stranger than it sounds. It's 1962. Years have passed since the Windscale nuclear disaster, but the exclusion zone is still sealed. You wake up inside it with no memory of how you got there. The villages are populated. People are going about their routines, but something is deeply wrong, and everyone is watching you just a little too carefully. Atomfall is a first-person exploration game with light survival mechanics. You're searching buildings for supplies, crafting improvised weapons, and navigating conversations with characters who each seem to know more than they're saying. There are no quest markers, no objective arrows. You piece together what's happening through notes, dialogue, and exploration, and the answers you find depend entirely on who you choose to trust. Side with the wrong faction, and the ending shifts. Find hidden information, and your understanding of everything changes. A lot of people who play this game ask the same question: why hasn't anyone told me about this? Because not enough people have played it yet. Where winds meet. Song Dynasty China. You're a wanderer, a fighter, and someone with nowhere to be and everywhere to go. Where winds meet hands you an open world and almost no instructions. You move through it like water running across rooftops, launching off branches, riding wind currents to glide between mountain peaks. The traversal system is some of the most expressive in the genre. It feels like the world was designed to be moved through, not just looked at. Combat is wuxia through and through. You're parrying with precise timing, chaining strikes into aerial combos, deflecting arrows mid-flight, using the environment to redirect enemy attacks back at them. But this game doesn't just want you to fight. It wants you to sit by a river and fish, to learn a musical instrument, to cook a meal for an NPC who's been struggling. The culture embedded in this world, its poetry, its mythology, its philosophy around death and duty, isn't explained to you. You absorb it through play. If you loved Ghost of Tsushima, Where Winds Meet is the next step. Resident Evil 7, the boldest reinvention in the series' history, and probably the scariest thing Capcom has ever made. Rise 7 strips everything away. No citywide outbreak, no super soldiers, no global conspiracies. Just you, Ethan Winters, arriving at a decaying plantation in rural Louisiana to find your missing wife. That's it. The first-person perspective changes everything. You're not watching a character navigate danger, you're inside it. Tight hallways, things moving in rooms you can't quite see, footsteps above you, and the Baker family, the people who own this house, are one of the most terrifying antagonist groups in gaming history. They're not zombies. They're not mindless. They talk to you. They hunt you methodically. You learn their patterns, try to avoid them, manage your limited inventory of healing items and ammunition, solve environmental puzzles to unlock new areas of the house. Resource management matters. Every bullet counts. Every door you open could be a mistake. Final Fantasy VII Remake. Some games become culture. Final Fantasy VII is one of them. And the remake didn't just preserve that, it expanded it. When you step into Midgar for the first time, you understand immediately. The city is massive, layered, alive in a way the original could only gesture toward. The slums under the plate, dark, cramped, full of people just surviving. The corporate towers above, sleek, oppressive, indifferent. And your Cloud Strife, a mercenary who doesn't care about any of it, getting pulled into something much bigger than himself. The combat system blends real-time action with tactical pausing. You're swapping between party members, reading enemy weaknesses, timing your abilities, building up ATB gauge to launch special attacks and spells. It's active and demanding, and deeply satisfying once it opens up. Each character plays completely differently. Cloud is precise and technical. Tifa is fast and combo-focused. Barrett plays almost like a cover shooter. And the story goes somewhere you won't see coming. If you know the original, it respects you. If you don't, it welcomes you. Either way, it earns its place as one of the defining RPGs of its generation. There has never been anything quite like this game. Borderlands 3 gives you a billion guns, that's the actual selling point, and it delivers. Every weapon feels different. Different fire rates, different elements, different behaviors. Some reload by throwing the whole gun and pulling out a new one. Some talk to you. Some fire in patterns that only make sense once you've leveled up enough to use them properly. Enemies drop loot constantly, and sorting through it, comparing stats, building toward a specific playstyle is a game within the game. You're choosing from 4 distinct Vault Hunters, each with 3 skill trees and a unique action ability. Amara is a siren who summons spectral fists to crush enemies. Mosé summons a mech. FL4K is a beastmaster with animals that fight alongside him. Zane is a tech operative who clones himself. Fully spec. Each one plays completely differently, but the real magic is co-op. When you're in a 4-player session and the chaos peaks, different builds, different playstyles, everyone looting something different, there is no game that replicates that specific feeling. Encased. If you love Fallout but feel like modern games have lost something, stop before you give up on the genre entirely. Play Encased. The setup, a massive dome-like structure called the Cronus Dome, appeared in the desert. Inside it, strange technology, strange materials, unknown rules. A corporation moved in to study it. You're one of their employees, and then the dome closed with everyone still inside. No one knows if anyone is getting out. You build your character from scratch, choosing your background, your skills, your faction allegiance. Are you ex-military, a scientist, a criminal? Each background opens different options in dialogue and gameplay. The isometric RPG structure is classic Fallout in all the right ways. Turn-based combat where positioning matters, skill checks that can diffuse fights entirely, companions with their own opinions and quest lines, factions whose relationships shift based on your choices. The world rewards exploration, the writing rewards patience, and the feeling of being genuinely inside a world with its own logic and history. That feeling is increasingly rare. People who've played this share a quiet kind of knowing, like they've found something others haven't yet. Now you have too.